One of the keys to growing a really successful garden, be it a fruit tree garden or a vegetable garden or any kind of garden really, is to choose healthy plants to start with. And I'd like to have a look in this segment at a few of the tips for choosing healthy plants. Now something like this one here is obviously ideal. You can see that the plant itself is fully green all the way through. There's no sign of any root circling at the top of the pot. And if we look at the root system, which I reckon is an important part as well, we'll see that there's a nice fine mass of roots, but there's no circling whatsoever. So something like this plant is ideal as a healthy specimen to start your garden. Now I've got a few samples here that really aren't quite so good. This plant here, as you can see, has gone quite yellow. You can actually see the roots at the top of the pot, and I'm sure that if we knock it out, we'll find some twisting roots in here as well. Yeah, there's quite a few big roots here which have turned around, and it will certainly cause problems later on. You also look at the colour of these roots, and they've gone a brown colour, which is a sure sign that this plant here has been under quite some stress, either from a lack of nutrients or in this case probably from a fungal disease. So it doesn't really matter how cheap this plant is, it really isn't a good buy because it's never going to pull away in your garden and grow into a healthy specimen. Now one of the other problems that you sometimes see in gardens is that if a plant has been overgrown in a pot, is the root system itself begins to curl. Now this is a plant which we pulled out from a garden somewhere else. As you can see, the roots have never really made it out of the old pot container. You can almost make out where the old pot was. And these roots that twisted in the pot have never been able to make its way out into the soil surrounding. And eventually, maybe under a period of stress from drought or something, the plant itself begins to die back. Another example here, you can see the roots themselves become quite twisted in the container and they've bent back on themselves and they never ever grow out of that. And again, under a period of stress, the plant itself dies. This can happen, in this case, perhaps 12 months after planting, or it can happen many years afterwards. Now this is a specimen that had been in for about 4 years, and as you can see, the same problem again occurred from putting in a root-bound specimen. So my strong advice would be to try and avoid any root-bound plants. If the plant's too big for its pot, then probably it's not worth buying. The same thing really applies to seedlings. You can see that these tomato plants here are well and truly overgrown their punnet. Again, if we pull one of these out, you can see the roots are going all over the place. And while they may well survive in the garden, they're never really going to grow and be fully vigorous tomato plants. So overgrown seedlings, even vegetable seedlings, are just as bad as an overgrown tree or a shrub. Look for something like this, where you've got a nice fibrous root system. If you do have a little bit of root curling on the bottom, just go through and take them off. But that will be a far better plant than a plant which has been overgrown in the cell. Quite a few of the fruit trees that you might want to put into the garden will be grafted plants. This actually is a grafted brachychiton or flame tree, but the same principle applies. You want to basically avoid plants that have obviously been in the pot for too long. You can see the roots exposed over the top of this. That's really not a very good sign at all. The top part of the tree is obviously a little bit on the stunted side because of its constricted root system. And you can also see a big bulge where the graft occurred. So this is the rootstock and this is the top part of the plant and this is where the graft union is. And as you can see, there's some issues here with a little bit of incompatibility because this has started to grow out into bulge. So I would suggest that this plant here won't make a great specimen to the garden. It could well grow for 5 or 10 years and then at some stage it'll probably break at this graft point. So a couple of tips to look out for grafted plants. The same principle applies, a decent root system, no sign of circling roots, and the top part and the below graft part should be more or less the same size and there shouldn't be a swelling bulge at the graft point itself. Anyway, if you are looking for plants to go into your garden, I guess a little bit of common sense, a really healthy plant that's in proportion with the root system and the top part of the plant is the way to go.